You wake up after a full night of sleep, yet your body feels heavy. Later, a sharp calf cramp wakes you at 2 a.m. By evening, your legs feel restless again. You tell yourself this is just what happens after 50. Most people assume these are just part of aging. Hardly anyone asks what else could be quietly connected. But what if there is a small piece you are missing? It is easy to blame nagging issues on age without knowing why they keep coming back. You might think these symptoms are separate problems requiring separate solutions. Yet research suggests they may share a common thread. This is not about fear. It is about understanding what your body might be signaling. We are not here to diagnose you today. We are here to explore what science allows us to say. There is a difference between what you assume and what the data actually shows. Many people never learn this until it is too late to simply adjust their habits. So what could be linking fatigue, sleep, and muscle issues together? There may be one mineral that tends to come up again and again in conversations about health after 50. It is often overlooked, yet it plays a role in hundreds of processes inside you. Today, we are looking at 5 common signs associated with this nutrient. We will separate myth from fact. We will focus on safety. And we will help you know what to discuss with your doctor today. Welcome to Medical Insight, where we unpack everyday health questions in plain English without turning every symptom into a frightening diagnosis. In this video, magnesium is the focus, but it is not the automatic answer. Fatigue, disrupted sleep, restless legs, cramps, and a fluttering heartbeat can be associated with magnesium status in some people. They can also be linked to sleep habits, dehydration, medication effects, thyroid conditions, iron levels, blood sugar, nerve problems, and many other causes. That distinction matters. If 2 people wake up with the exact same calf cramp, do they always have the same cause? No. One may have exercised more than usual, another may be dehydrated, a third may need a medical evaluation. Same symptom, different story. The reason magnesium gets discussed so often is not that it fixes every one of these problems. It is because it is involved in important functions, including muscle and nerve function, and many people never hear it explained properly. The National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements provides evidence-based information on magnesium's roles, food sources, and safety considerations. That is the kind of source worth checking, rather than relying on bold claims online. So consider this video a guide to noticing patterns, not a checklist for diagnosing yourself. If symptoms are persistent, new, severe, or worrying, a qualified healthcare professional can help identify the real cause and decide whether testing is appropriate. Curiosity is useful. Guessing is not. Now that we have drawn that line, the next question is simple. Why does magnesium come up so often after age 50? The answer begins with what this mineral does inside the body each day. So why does magnesium come up so often in conversations about health after 50? Part of the answer is what this mineral actually does. According to the National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements, magnesium is involved in hundreds of processes in the body. It plays a role in normal muscle function, in nerve signaling, in energy metabolism, and in processes related to sleep regulation. Notice the wording. It is involved in these things. It does not control them. That difference matters because no single mineral runs the show. Now, here is where age enters the picture. There are 3 realistic reasons magnesium tends to come up after 50. First, dietary intake can quietly drop. Diets that lean more on ultra-processed foods tend to provide less magnesium since processing can strip nutrients away. Second, absorption can change gradually as the body ages, meaning intake and what your body actually uses are not always the same number. Third, certain commonly used medications may affect magnesium status. That is something to confirm with your doctor or pharmacist, not to assume. 2 people can eat similar foods, but their magnesium intake or needs are not automatically the same. Same plate, different bodies, different circumstances. Here is the part that surprises people. Most people hear about calcium or potassium when aging comes up. Magnesium is often the one quietly left out of the conversation. How often do you hear it mentioned when people talk about energy or sleep? For many viewers, the honest answer is rarely. And maybe you have felt this yourself without naming it. A body that feels slightly off, a routine that looks healthy on paper, and a nagging sense that something small is being missed. That feeling is worth paying attention to, calmly. General summaries from the NIH and reviews published in the journal Nutrients describe magnesium as a nutrient many adults may not get enough of from diet alone without turning that into a crisis. That is the balance frame we will keep. Awareness, not alarm, a clue, not a conclusion. With that in mind, let's look at 5 signs that may be associated with magnesium status, starting from the most subtle one and moving toward the one sign where safety matters most. Let's start the countdown with number 5. Unusual fatigue or weakness. Picture this. You sleep 7, maybe 8 hours. The alarm goes off, and instead of feeling rested, your body feels heavy, like someone quietly turned the gravity up overnight. You push through the morning, but that sluggish, weak feeling just follows you. You might even feel a hint of that heaviness right now, just hearing it described. Here is what the research allows us to say. Low magnesium may be associated with fatigue or weakness in some people because magnesium is involved in energy metabolism. But that is a possible association, not a verdict. The Mayo Clinic notes that fatigue has a long list of possible causes, and magnesium is only one of many factors. Think of 2 people who both feel exhausted every morning. For one, it could be poor sleep. For another, it could be anemia, thyroid issues, blood sugar, low mood, or a medication. Same feeling, very different causes. Most people blame fatigue on age first, and they rarely check the smaller buildup factors that could be worth discussing with a doctor. So here is a question genuinely worth asking yourself. Is your fatigue the same on the days you move versus the days you sit for long stretches? That pattern is a clue, not a conclusion. And clues are meant to be followed, not feared. Of course, when people feel tired, the first thing they usually blame is sleep. So let's look at that next. Number 4, trouble staying asleep. Falling asleep isn't the problem. You drift off fine. Then somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning, your eyes snap open. You toss, you turn, you check the clock. And when morning finally comes, you feel like you never really rested at all, even though you spent enough hours in bed. Here is the careful version of what research allows us to say. Adequate magnesium may help support healthy sleep patterns. And in some people, lower magnesium status may be associated with certain aspects of poor sleep. Notice what's missing from that sentence. Words like fix, cure, or guarantee. Sleep is far too complex for promises. Now picture 2 people who both say, I can't stay asleep. One drinks coffee at 8 in the evening, the other has untreated sleep apnea. Same complaint, completely different story. Stress, screen habits, medications, and other medical factors all belong on that list too. The National Institutes of Health and Harvard Health both describe sleep as multifactorial, which is a fancy way of saying many things pull on it at once. Most people try to force sleep. Very few step back and examine the everyday habits quietly chipping away at it. Forcing sleep is like pushing a door marked pull. So ask yourself that question honestly tonight. Does your sleep shift more with your routine or more with your stress? Sleep that breaks apart often has a companion, and when it arrives, you'll feel it in your legs. Number 3, restless legs or muscle twitches. By evening, you sit down, but your legs seem to have other plans. There's an uncomfortable urge to move, stretch, or keep shifting. Maybe your calf jumps unexpectedly. Maybe an eyelid flickers for a few seconds, then disappears. The sensations may be small, but they can be surprisingly difficult to ignore. Magnesium status may be associated with muscle twitches or restless sensations in some people, but this is a possible clue, not an answer. There is no reliable reason to assume every twitch means deficiency. Think about two people with the same restless legs. One may have low iron levels. Another may have a nerve-related issue, caffeine sensitivity, a medication effect, or circulation-related concerns. Different paths, same sensation. This is something many people notice almost every night, yet rarely mention to a doctor because they assume it is normal after 50. The NIH and Mayo Clinic emphasize that symptoms like restless legs can have multiple possible explanations, and nutrient associations are only one part of the picture. So ask, how often do you notice these sensations when you're more tired versus well-rested? Patterns can help your doctor ask better questions, but they are not a diagnosis. Next comes the complaint almost everyone recognizes: a sudden muscle cramp. Number 2, muscle cramps, especially in the legs. It happens without warning. You're sound asleep, and suddenly your calf tightens into a hard, painful knot. You sit up, stretch, rub it, wait for the spasm to pass. And then, just as quickly as it came, it's gone. But the memory of that sharp pain lingers. If you felt this, you know exactly what I'm describing. Magnesium status may be associated with muscle cramps in some people. But here's the important part. This does not mean magnesium is the cause for most people who get cramps. Research summaries in the journal Nutrients and guidance from the Mayo Clinic both point to the same conclusion. Cramps are multifactorial. Imagine two people who wake up with the exact same calf cramp. One might be dehydrated. Another might have an electrolyte shift, muscle overuse, nerve-related issues, circulation factors, or a medication side effect. Same pain, different explanations. Most people never find out the possible reason for their cramps because the moment the pain passes, they forget to mention the pattern to a doctor. We tend to treat symptoms as inconveniences rather than information. So ask yourself, do your cramps happen in a pattern, like a specific time of day, after certain activity, or with a certain frequency? Or do they seem totally random? That observation is worth discussing with a healthcare professional. But now we move to the sign that deserves special attention, because unlike the others, this one is not something to figure out on your own. Number 1, heart palpitations or irregular heartbeat concerns. This is the sign that deserves a different kind of attention, not because it's automatically dangerous, but because it's the one where guessing is never the right approach. A more pronounced magnesium imbalance may be associated with certain heart rhythm changes, but this is not something to self-correct with supplements. That is not a risk worth taking based on a YouTube video. Picture two people who feel a skipped beat. One notices it after a double espresso, and it settles within minutes. Another feels it randomly throughout the day, along with mild chest discomfort. Same sensation, very different levels of urgency. The American Heart Association and Mayo Clinic both emphasize the same message. New, persistent, or concerning heart symptoms deserve proper evaluation, not self-diagnosis. If you experience chest discomfort, fainting, severe shortness of breath, or a sudden noticeable change in your heartbeat, seek medical care without delay. This is the one sign where figuring it out on YouTube is not enough. Knowing when to get checked is often the information people wish they had sooner. A single skipped beat after coffee is common. But a pattern that keeps returning, or symptoms that feel different from anything you felt before, deserves a conversation with a doctor, no exception. So ask yourself honestly, if a new palpitation started and didn't quickly settle, would you know when to stop guessing and seek care? Now, let's pull back for a moment. Fatigue can come from sleep, thyroid, or blood sugar. Poor sleep can come from stress or apnea. Restless legs can come from iron levels. Cramps can come from dehydration. And palpitations can come from many causes that need proper evaluation. Here is what most people never hear at the end of a 5 signs video. This list is for awareness, not self-diagnosis. Having 1, 2, or even 3 of these signs does not mean you are low in magnesium. It means those patterns are worth noticing and worth discussing clinically. The NIH, Mayo Clinic, and reviews in Nutrients all reinforce the same point. Nutrient associations are correlational, not automatically causal. A clue is not a conclusion. So ask yourself, If a sign keeps returning in a pattern for weeks, not hours, is that worth bringing up at your next doctor's visit? If so, what can you actually do? Before we talk about anything in a bottle, let's talk about what's already in your kitchen. Most people hear magnesium and immediately think of a pill. Very few hear the simple food-first angle explained first. According to the NIH Office of Dietary Supplements, foods like leafy greens, especially spinach, legumes such as lentils and beans, nuts and seeds like almonds and pumpkin seeds, whole grains, and avocado can all help contribute to magnesium intake as part of a balanced diet. No special shopping list required. You can try a small food swap for general variety without jumping straight to a supplement. Those are two very different actions. One adjusts your plate, the other introduces something your body may or may not need. Is there one simple whole food you could add a little more often without overhauling your entire diet? Sometimes the smallest change is the safest starting point. But food is only part of the conversation, because there is one warning that almost every magnesium video skips, and it is the one that can matter most for your safety. The one warning most signs videos skip entirely is also the one that can matter most for safety. Magnesium supplements are not appropriate for everyone. If you have kidney disease or reduced kidney function, do not take a magnesium supplement unless your doctor has explicitly approved it. Your kidneys help remove excess magnesium from the body. When kidney function is impaired, magnesium can build up, potentially leading to serious complications. More is not safer, and natural does not mean risk-free. Medicines matter too. Some diuretics and long-term acid-reducing medicines can affect magnesium status, while magnesium supplements can interfere with the absorption of certain antibiotics and osteoporosis medicines. The exact risk depends on the drug, timing, dose, and your health history. That is why the safest place to check is with your doctor or pharmacist, not an online comment section. Even when kidney function is normal, magnesium from supplements or magnesium-containing medications may cause diarrhea, nausea, or abdominal cramping. The NIH Office of Dietary Supplements also distinguishes magnesium naturally present in food from supplemental magnesium when discussing upper limits and side effects. That is another reason a food-first approach is not the same as starting a pill. If you have a long-term health condition or take regular medicines, have you ever asked your care team about nutrient interactions? It is a simple question, but an important one. Supplements can look simple on the label. Your medical history is not simple. So before buying anything, pause. Next, let's make this practical by covering which symptoms can wait for a routine appointment and which ones deserve medical attention sooner. Knowing that difference can protect both time and health. If fatigue, cramps, poor sleep, restless legs, or palpitations persist for weeks, worsen, follow a pattern, or appear without an obvious explanation, bring them to a healthcare professional. Seek urgent medical care for chest discomfort, fainting, sudden weakness, severe shortness of breath, or a sudden concerning change in your heartbeat. For less urgent symptoms, keep a 1 to 2 week log. Note the time, frequency, duration, and anything that made the symptom better or worse. If something is returned 3 or 4 times in 2 weeks, would it be worth recording before your appointment? Writing down a pattern is very different from jumping to a conclusion. One gives your doctor clues, the other can hide explanations. A symptom diary is evidence for a conversation, not a diagnosis. Now let's recap the message that matters most. These 5 signs may be associated with magnesium status after 50, but they have many possible causes. The most useful thing to know is not which mineral it could be, but to stay curious without jumping to conclusions. Lab testing and clinical evaluation confirm what a list cannot. Which of these 5 have you noticed in a pattern, not just once? This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult a qualified healthcare provider for personal guidance.